Hello, everyone. We are live once again, Saturday morning, here to talk shop on a Saturday. So this is another show that I'm creating, starting as of today. Let's get rid of some of these tickers. That's my email, but yeah, I'll get rid of it for now. Oh, I put it in as my name, so that'll be my email up there. It's part of my name. I'm Rilus Dana. Dana and Associates is my day job, the law firm where I practice probate and estate planning law in Arizona, also practicing in California. Today, I'm streaming from Maat Legal. I'm streaming from the Maat Legal Facebook page, the Maat Legal YouTube, as well as my personal Facebook page. So Maat Legal is it coaches. It's the management company for Dana and Associates. So on Saturdays, I'm going to start having a conversation, holding space where we can talk about how we can run our law firms better as attorneys, how we can practice better as business owners, and just want to have a place to have a conversation. I have one guest I see in the studio. He's in the studio. I'll bring him into the stream, and we'll let him introduce himself. So, hey, hello, good afternoon.
Hey, I'm doing good, Rilus. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm happy, man. It's been a good day so far.
Yeah. Where are you located today?
So I'm in New York.
In New York?
Yep.
Nice. And why don't you tell everyone how you found the stream, how we know each other?
So we know each other through Pace Morby. I'm a part of his mentorship for creative financing. I'm a real estate investor.
Okay, you're one of the mentor students as well.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. I didn't realize you were a mentor student. That's probably why I recognized your name. I've seen you in the group a little bit more and seen you ask some questions.
Yeah, I've been trying to be really active in there. The Facebook group is absolutely amazing. You know, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of people at so many different stages in the real estate game, in the real estate industry. So I'm picking everyone's brain, and yours especially. You've given me some really great advice about probate attorneys and just how to contact them and just different things about the probate process.
Well, great. Yeah, that's the type of space that I'm trying to create in the attorney world. I'm trying to create a group like that where attorneys help each other out, where they practice, help each other practice their practice in the best way. So I'm happy to help you in any way. Now, from everyone, I posted this live stream in Pace's group this morning, and I said, share it with any attorneys you may know, so I can build my squad. I said, I'm trying to squad up like Pace and his friends talk about, the Pace and the Brent Daniels and Jamils. I'm trying to reach out to those other attorneys out there who are like-minded.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a massive difference. It truly does help. I've actually been seeing a lot more progress in my own business as I've taken Pace's advice of squatting up. So a bunch of us from Jersey and New York, we have a group chat together. We're holding each other accountable. We're learning from each other. I'm getting to learn from their experience right away. So I don't need to make the same mistake that they're making. They're making it in live time. They're sharing it live time. And then we're all growing from the experience. So I imagine for lawyers, it would be the exact same situation where you come across a case, someone else might be dealing with it, and you both don't need to make the same mistake. One of you learns exactly how to solve it and passes that knowledge on.
Yeah, and right now is a really exciting time in that everything's changing. So I practice in Arizona and California. Arizona, we can now do remote online notarization. I don't know if New York has that, but we can notarize documents electronically, like pop in on like a FaceTime type thing and DocuSign basically, and have it notarized.
See, that's cool. I know we have our mobile notaries, but I don't know if we can do it electronically yet. That's actually really helpful.
Yeah, so the law was scheduled to pass in July in Arizona, but with all the COVID stuff, they sped it up and made it effective April 10th. Nice. So I just got my license, and I am so legally I can do it. I just got to figure out exactly how. So after this stream, I'm going to be researching more about that to figure out how we can make the estate planning process 100% virtual. So that's pretty cool. People can meet from their home the whole way through, meet with a professional and get a professional plan signed, notarized, all from their home.
That's cool. So it's
with
funny.
or without pants.
So it's funny because estate planning has been a conversation my mother and I have been having a lot. She's actually here next to me right now. Say hi to her.
Hello, Mom.
That's my mom.
Thanks for joining. Marlon said you had a question about estate planning you wanted to ask today.
Well, I'm going to just listen in, and as you go along, whatever pops into my head, I will. I'm new to all of this, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm an Arizona and California guy. So as far as the estate planning, it can be a little bit different how we do it out here in the West. So New York, I don't know if probate's as big of a deal in New York as it is in Arizona and California. What probate is, that's the legal process to change title of an asset out of the name of the deceased.
Right. I mean, I've been learning a bit about probate just because, as a real estate investor, I do get a lot of leads from my probate source from going to the courts, and I've been learning just how long of a process it is in New York. I didn't realize it was such a lengthy process and an expensive process as well. So I started.
Okay, so it is a pain in New York. It sounds like. It
absolutely, without a doubt, is. Anywhere from the moment you start the process, you're looking to finish it up maybe 12 months down the road. What I've been seeing. And, that made me start to have the conversation with my mom that, okay, we want to make sure that this is not something we have to go through at the end of the day, having to deal with the probate process.
Yeah. So big picture, what your mom wants to do is, let's see, I can show my screen. Is your mom, she'll probably want to do a trust of some sort. So you want to come up with a plan so you can transfer your assets after you're gone, or after I say, if you're drooling on yourself, if you're incapacitated in the future. That's even scarier to think about sometimes than passing away, right? But a trust is a legal document created by a person called the trustor. So that could be mom, she'd be the trustor. The trustee is the one that manages it, so that'd also be mom. And the beneficiary would also be mom, the one that benefits. So then the trust allows mom to control all of her assets, but if her health did decline in the future, the successor trustee, whoever she appoints, would then have the authority at that time to manage things for her. Or after she passes away, will be able to transfer assets to wherever she wants without the court probate process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is say, I would reach out to an attorney in New York, in your neighborhood, in your community. Reach out to someone there and see if they can meet you virtually. I've been doing video meetings with my clients for the last, it's been almost a couple months, I think now, exclusively, where we're doing just the video meetings. We'll go over personal details and see what makes sense for mom's situation.
So let me ask you a question. Because Pace literally, he raves about you. So that means
he's kind. He's very kind.
What if when we go to look for an attorney locally, what are questions we can use to, vet these attorneys to see which one's a good one, which one's maybe not worth his weight in salt?
Yeah, great questions. So I have a little brochure. I don't know if I have one in my bag down here. That answers that question. Something we get quite a bit. And the brochure I made, I think I gave them all out, which is kind of the point. The brochure has some of our differences, some of the distinctions. So number one, I would say the first thing to look at is ask them if they do probate work. Do they do the administration work? I see a lot of crappy plans come from attorneys even where they don't have a clue how it works on the back end after someone passes away or after someone is disabled. So I would start there and say, do you guys do that type of work? Are you experienced in that? That's one thing I ask. Another thing is, do they have a plan to make sure that your trust is funded? What funded means is after you create a trust, do you get your assets inside of it? So let me show you. Let's see here. Let me share my screen here. I'll show you. Find where my mouse is. Close those two. I'm getting used to this new streaming setup at home. I got a new webcam yesterday.
Nice.
Yesterday,
the quality is crystal clear.
Thank you. Logitech StreamCam.
Nice.
The webcams have been sold out everywhere. I found this one online. Met a guy in a parking lot. He was wearing a mask, so it makes it seem more just kind of like a drug deal or something.
The order of the day.
So,
we have all become bandits.
Yeah. So you're in New York. How's New York doing? I know they're one of the hardest hit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting to see everything shut down so heavily. And, we're, 40 minutes out of the city. But I have friends that are in the city and they'll send me videos and they're like, it's a ghost town. They're literally running around and exploring because no one's outside. The roads are they're empty in comparison to what you normally see.
Yeah, I've seen some posts too from friends that live and work in the city. I haven't seen anything in a while, but like several weeks ago they post like that, like it's a ghost town.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of eerie almost.
Yeah, it's the oddest thing to see, like something like Times Square clear on a Tuesday afternoon. You just don't see it.
Yeah, so I'm in Arizona, Scottsdale, Phoenix, and same thing on a different scale. It's not Times Square, but especially a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, it's the peak of tourist season in Arizona, and just all the streets downtown Scottsdale is empty, just no one. Okay, I got my other screen up. It wasn't opening. Things, I'll practice this when I'm not live or not on a video call, and it's completely different. Once you go live, it's other story. Okay, so you see my screen there?
There we go. Let's see. Can we make this full? No, we can't make it full screen.
So here, I'll make it full screen. I probably can. There we go. Does that make it full screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There we go.
I lost my. Okay, so this is I'll go through this presentation with people when we meet with them, and we'll talk about a trust and if it's the right situation for them. Like for you, Miss Mom Johnson, Mom. A single trust is what I would recommend. Something like this for you, and then we'll talk about how to get your bank accounts in there and your life insurance, and if you have any retirement accounts. Sometimes you want to name your kids as individuals as the beneficiaries, but other times you'll want to name the trust depending on what your trust is designed to do. If your kids are adults and you're not, you don't need to hold the money back for a period of time, then you can name your kids as the beneficiaries. So one of the other questions to ask the attorneys is, do you have a plan to help you fund the trust? So that's number 2. So number 1 is, do they do the trust administration probate work? Number 2, do they have a plan to help you fund your trust? And let me open something else. I'll show you a little timeline of our process.
And when you say to fund the trust, exactly what do you mean?
Yeah, good question. No one knows what that means. Attorneys, it's a phrase attorneys use, but I think people don't understand it. So here's what I mean by that. So here's you up here, Mom. and you don't have a trust yet. So maybe you have a house, maybe you have some bank accounts. Here
Right.
you are. Here's your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you create a trust, create the legal document. A lot of people, they'll create a nice document. They get a beautiful binder, but they never change the ownership of their bank account into the trust. So when I say fund the trust, I mean get your bank account in there, get your house in there, and set up the beneficiary designations on retirement accounts.
Okay. So in other words, when they create a trust, they're just creating a blank.
A bucket is what I say. It's a bucket, an empty bucket.
Uh-huh.
So funding it is filling up the bucket, getting things inside of it.
Okay.
And when the things go inside of it, they are still in the name of my mother, or they're now in the name of the trust?
Good question. So here's your mom will be. Let's see. I think I have an example here of how a trust avoids. Let me show you how this works. So, okay. Then can you still see this? It did a kind of weird thing on my computer screen. It took both monitors.
Yes.
Or wait, I don't think you want. All right, let me try that again. Okay. So single trust, can you see Mr. Estate there? He's got a house, bank account, an IRA, life insurance. So create the trust. It's revocable. He's the trustor, the person that creates it, the trustee, which is the manager, and the beneficiary. So transfers his house, bank account in there. The IRA stays outside, but he'll name beneficiaries. Same thing with life insurance. Okay, so after he passed, so going back to your question, so who is the owner once the accounts are in there?
Right.
So if this is you, Mom, and your account's in the name of the trust, the way it's set up, it's Mom Johnson, trustee of your trust.
Okay.
So you are the trust.
Okay.
So you still have full control as the trustor, the one that created it, use this briefcase, and the trustee.
Got it.
Okay. So part 2 is, do they have a plan to help you fund your trust? I'll show you here's our estate planning timeline. So we do the first meeting, we call it a personal family legal session. That's where we talk about, we figure out what plan is needed, and then quote a fee for the right plan for them. And then we'll get drafting instructions, so details of who you want to be in charge and things like that. And then you have the signing meeting, which we do virtually with the attorney. And I'm moving in, that's where I'm going to be adjusting our processes to see how we do that virtually 100%. But right now we meet with the attorney via a screen share to review all the documents, and then everything is signed. And we have a third meeting that we call the Trust Asset Coordination Session. So this is where we help you, we make a plan on where everything goes, and we make sure that you know what it means to fund your trust, or at least that you'll get it done. At least you know how to do it.
Okay.
So that's another question to ask. Another question, some of our distinctions, I'll show you in our I'll show you our fee agreement, actually. So everything that's included in our packages, the trust package. So it includes last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney, mental health care power of attorney and living will, and a financial durable power of attorney. So you're going to want all of those things, and then also a trust. Now, digital asset language. This is something that's unique to Maat Legal, and this is something that I'm spreading the word and letting other attorneys practice in my Maat Legal way. So this is Dana and Associates, a fee agreement for my law firm in Arizona and California, and it's actually copyright the Maat Legal processes.
Nice.
So this is what I'm opening up to other attorneys to use basically the same fee agreement, same style, and offer digital asset language. All right, Mom Johnson, digital assets. Did you know you have digital assets?
Digital assets.
Yeah.
I am clueless as to what that really means.
No, most people are, so don't worry. So what digital assets are, it's your information that's being stored on your behalf electronically. So even if you don't own a computer, you live 100% paper and analog, I guarantee your bank is storing your information electronically.
Okay.
So you have a right in that information. So that's what digital assets are.
Okay.
So we include a plan in all our documents. So the trust, powers of attorney, we give the people that you name in there the ability to request an inventory of your digital assets, limited to the type of account, who's the owner, and who's the beneficiary. So that's the information they'll need to do their job. And then we've also created a digital asset trust to make more specific requests. And what I recommend is leaving some details about your email. Now, let me tell you the problem that we're solving with this. And it goes back to the number one thing I said in looking for an attorney. I said, look for someone that practices trust administration and probate. So we do that area of law. So I have experience with people calling in and asking questions at that time. So I've seen the problems. I've seen what people have trouble with. And then that's how we've adapted all of our processes. So every time there's a bad situation, I'm going, okay, how can we avoid this in the future? And when I'm meeting to plan with people, I have all the experience of all the administration cases where I can make it better in the future, for the people that are doing their plans. So here's a very common call that we get. I got this for the first time about 13 or so years ago as a law clerk. Someone called and they said, hey, my parents just passed away. I found the trust, but how do I figure out what accounts they have? And how do I figure out where they're banking at? And how do I figure out where their stuff's at? So 13 years ago, young Rilus got that call. I went to the paralegals and attorneys and I said, what's the answer? What do I tell this person? They said, what do you think they said? What do you think they said, Marlon? What do you think the answer is?
They said
13 years ago. We still get that call today. What's the answer?
They probably told you it's gone forever. Let's give up on it.
Not quite that bad.
What they probably said is
that's like Bitcoin. If you lose your Bitcoin password, then it's basically gone forever. But what they said is look around the house for bank statements. See if you can look around and find some bank statements, or start getting the mail to see what statements come in.
Okay.
Remember the mail? Remember paper envelopes?
I actually was going to say to go to the different bank branches and inquire.
What was that? Do you get paper? Do you get statements by paper still?
No.
No. Now, a lot of places they started penalizing you actually if you want it on paper. They charge you for it.
Yes.
Which is how they pushed us to go paperless.
Yes. There's a fee.
So yeah, the problem that exists is people are storing their information electronically, and how do you transfer that important information? So the digital asset trust is a way under these new laws. New York has the laws too, I believe. It's referred to as RUFADA. So when you're looking for attorneys, I'd say ask them if they have a plan for your digital assets. And if they don't know what RUFADA is, tell them they need to check out Maat Legal and learn how learn modern estate planning. So other things we can do in the digital asset trust is things like iCloud accounts. And so if you're storing photos and videos electronically, where that photo and video, that digital asset is what we're trying to preserve itself. For the general request that we make, we're just given the authority to give an inventory. So just tell them about your bank accounts. So the information about the accounts is a digital asset, but the money in the bank is an actual asset.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So we use these laws to make sure we can get all the money and those types of assets. But this new area of law, it's not really law. This new area of practice, I call it like human assets, planning for your human assets. So I tell my clients that they should take some selfies, that they should talk to their phone. No, now, Mom, what are your thoughts there? Do you ever take selfies?
Yes, I do. But to say to you, one of the things that I have done, I actually list everything on a spreadsheet, and I gave it to the kids in terms of the accounts, the bank, and the account numbers.
Okay.
So
if you're cool with that, that's fine. But legally, that's here's the problems with that. Number one, the main problem is passwords change. You know, if you have to update your accounts, then you got to keep that list up to date, which can be kind of a chore. Now, the other issue is if you read those agreements, if you read those contracts, when you click I agree, they're technically they're single user licenses, which means that account, that license is for Mom's life. Now, it's kind of a weird area of the law. So if you were gone, sorry, and Marlon came to see me and said, I have all these passwords. I'm not a New York attorney, but someone like me. And so what do I do? I would say, you know what? I would say you're a big boy. You can do what you want, but if you probably don't want the legal answer, because technically those accounts passed away with your mom.
Yeah, they died with me.
So for things that you want to make sure are preserved, like Apple iCloud accounts, like those photos and videos, I recommend including that in the digital asset trust to say what you want to have happen. Okay. Let me show you something else that we give our clients in that first meeting. Sorry, try not to scroll too fast, make you sick. This digital asset inventory and checklist. So most people have never heard of digital assets. Most people don't realize that they have the authority to control their information. So I think this is something very important. So at a minimum, like I said, we have that general request that allows for to get an inventory of your digital assets and nothing else. So it protects your information. So what I recommend you do is number one, you inventory your digital assets. So figure out what you have, what you're storing out there electronically. Number two, check for what's called an online tool. What that is, an online tool is like Facebook has what's called legacy settings. They provide a way that you can transfer your account. So if a company gives you away the ability to pass on your account, that's going to have the highest priority. Now, Google, they have the inactive account manager. For my situation, my oldest son is 13. I really don't want to name him as my account manager. He's not quite ready. So that doesn't really work well for me. So in my digital asset trust, I named the trustee of my plan, who I actually use an independent fiduciary company, is who would be the trustee of all of my stuff, just so my kids don't have to deal with it or any type of family member. And I named my YouTube channels and my Apple iCloud accounts and all of those things to make sure they'll pass on. Now, for other things, number 4 on the list is consider sharing login credentials if not prohibited. Most of the time it is. Again, I'm not going to be, you can do what you want. But my concern though is you give all the passwords and then after you're gone, Marlon would be locked out still. If those companies knew that you were no longer here, well, they could shut down your accounts. So that's number 3. Where are we at on the list of how to find an attorney? I would say, do you have a plan for digital assets, your information being stored electronically? And I'll show you another part of that as well. So we'll go to, actually I want, open to the browser here. I'll show you our website. Here's the Dana and Associates website. So up here, this digital vault, let me move it down actually. You can see it. So I see this button here, this digital vault. So all of our plans, we give people a place to store their documents electronically. Everplans is a software company that does it, but we provide the license for that. Let me switch the view here. So great, I love this question. So, so number one, do they do trust administration and probate? Number two, is there a way where they're going to make sure your trust is funded? So meaning you get your assets in there and update your beneficiaries. Do they have a plan for your digital assets? And is there a way to store your documents electronically? So all of our plans, let's see, I have one of my Maat Legal binders here. This is what our attorneys use. It says family. I don't know if you can, there you go, family legal plan. This one's empty actually, but we deliver the physical documents, and then we also deliver a copy of all the signed PDFs. And then that digital vault gives you the authority to decide who can see the information and when they can see it.
So question, once a trust is created, let's say it's created today and 2 years from now, she gets something brand new that she wants to put in there. What's the process of adding to the trust or taking from it?
Good question. So that's the bucket. So creating the trust is the bucket. And it's a little work after you create the bucket to get it funded, to transfer everything in there. So the process is if she opens a new bank account, you open it in the name of the trust. If you buy a new property, you take title in the name of the trust.
Okay.
So that
automatically be put into the bucket.
Yeah. So we create that extra meeting that we call the trust asset coordination session because it makes more sense after you've created your trust. And I can hold up your binder and say, here it is. Here's what you're going to get. Here's what you take to the bank. We mark the 2 things you need to take to the bank. What that is, we mark the certificate of trust, the abbreviated version of it. And then we create what we call attorney funding recommendations. So we'll give you clear instructions on how every account should be set up. So that's what people leave with. And then I put little stickies on those things. So I said, literally, if you just walk into the bank and show them those 2 things, you'll get it done. You don't have to remember anything.
Okay.
That is cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So great questions. I love the questions. So go ahead.
And you mentioned something about, you talked about a single trust as opposed to what other type of trust?
Now, if you're married, you could do what we call a continuation trust. Are you married?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So that wouldn't apply. So
Okay.
What a continuation trust is where, so when one partner dies, it goes to the surviving spouse for the rest of their life. And then when they pass away, then it transfers out to some beneficiaries.
Okay.
And it would transfer to the original, like, so if the husband passes, it passes to the wife. But when the wife passes, it would go to whoever the husband had named as the beneficiary, or would it go to who the wife now names?
Maybe. Depends. Yes.
That kind of depends.
So by default, it'll go to whatever the trust says, whatever they designate, but the surviving spouse has the authority to change everything.
Oh,
okay,
but
cool.
they do have the authority to change.
Yeah.
So
in that type of situation. So that's why I said maybe or depends or.
Question. What the little that I know of trust and what have you, I've heard the word revocable and irrevocable trust. Would that have anything to do with that question that he just asked?
So the type of trust I was talking about for you is a revocable trust. Mm-hmm. Revocable means that you have the ability to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you pass away, after the trust creator passes away, it becomes irrevocable at that time.
Okay.
So meaning Marlon wouldn't be able to change your wishes after you're gone.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So the estate planning, it always starts with the revocable trust, and then sometimes there's for more advanced reasons, people will also do an irrevocable trust. So like in addition to a regular revocable trust, you might create an irrevocable trust to start downloading assets out of your estate. You're kind of out of reach for tax reasons or out of reach from potential creditors. But that's always the next level. It starts with creating a revocable trust, and then it's not too common that people will actually need an irrevocable trust.
Okay, so your basic foundation is your revocable, and for me it would be a single trust because of the fact that I'm single.
Yes, yeah. So great question. Now, Marlon, you said you were working with the probate attorneys or approaching them. Do you want to talk about that as well? What you need to do?
Yes, absolutely. So that's been the thing. I've been reaching out to different probate attorneys because as I've been going to the surrogate's court to pull probate files as leads for real estate, just looking to see when families inherit homes that they don't necessarily want or can even afford to keep and hold on to. I've been reaching out to them, and it came to my attention. It was advised to me that I reach out instead to the actual attorneys and get to build and form a relationship with them and learn how I can help bring value to their client, basically. Because if I'm able to bring value to their client, in return, I'm bringing value to them as I'm making their life and their job easier. So I wanted to I had reached out via phone call during this time in quarantine, and before quarantine, I was able to stop into an office and talk to a single attorney. But I just wanted to hear from another attorney and get your.
So how did that go? So did you just stop in?
Yeah, I stopped in and I walked in and I told him basically, hey, I'm new to real estate, or I'm new to probate. So I'm a real estate investor, but I'm new to the world of probate and real estate. And I have no clue how I can benefit you and how we can build a working relationship. So if you don't mind, would you mind explaining to me what benefit or value a real estate investor could bring to you and your business?
I like that approach. It's honest, authentic. What was the response?
His response was that as a real estate investor, I would be able to assist in the case when he gets these probate cases. On occasion, or more often than less, they're inheriting a house from mom and dad, and mom and dad were in their older days, so the house wasn't necessarily well kept. Things were just piling up all over the place. So the house isn't market ready. So now for this younger couple to go ahead and sell the property, it's going to be a bit of a headache. They need to go doll it up for the MLS, and they don't necessarily want to deal with that on top of everything else. So for them to have a trusted real estate investor that could come and just take that problem off of their hands, he would be able to provide that solution for them, and it helps him wrap up the entire process much sooner because they've taken care of that part of the estate.
Yeah, so that's how I got introduced to real estate investors. I am doing the probates and trust administration. If we have one house and 5 beneficiaries, it's hard to split a house 5 ways. So I just want to liquidate it so we can make a distribution and close out the legal work. So solutions for real estate is appreciated. I don't know how competitive your markets are. If I was in my Mesa office, whenever I go in there, if it's been a few days, I usually have at least 2 or 3 letters from real estate investors, I would say. And that's depending who's getting the mail. So some people just don't ever let those see my desk because they know they go straight to the recycle and shred pile. or sometimes I'll shoot pictures of them to Pace or the group just to show people examples of good ones and maybe not so good ones. So it's hard to get the attention that way of the attorneys, and depending on they're just being bombarded by real estate investors all day. The reason I got to know Pace, I've actually, I still work with other investors besides Pace, but the reason I got to know him is he was very creative in the ways of providing value to me, I would say, is the difference, one of the differences of Pace. Now, there's a lot of people that will come into my office or reach out and say, what can I do? Now, when I met Pace the first time, is at a barbecue actually. I think we talked about it on his channel or his page. We talked about it a few times, but we met at it was through a friend, another real estate friend actually invited me to a get together, and in just a short conversation with Pace, he was like, "What can I help you with? What do you need help with?" And we connected later, like the next week. We decided we want to meet up for a lunch, and he recommended that we do a podcast, and he actually sponsored it and showed us how to do it in the studio. It was someone else on my team at the time. But yeah, he helped to set up our whole podcast. So the first season of The Millennial Attorney. So that was, a creative solution that he gave to us. I was someone though, I was trying to scale my business is what I said at that barbecue. He said, what do you want to, who are you? What do you do in life? How can I help you type of a thing? And it was cool, just a real authentic connection in that short time. And the fact that he found ways that he could provide value to me. And he knew that I had other friends in the business that I was sending my deals to. And what he said is, send me your hard stuff. If you have stuff that's, such and such doesn't want, they're not interested, send me those hard stuff. And I did. I really tested them. I sent him the junk. I sent him the crap. I sent him things where we had, there was a bunch of personal property issues is one of them. There was, it's a probate we've been dealing with for years. I think we're like year 3 or 4 into it, but a guy had storage units all over the place, stuff all over, some cars, and Pace was willing to go out there and make an offer on the stuff. So that was, that was helpful for me, because as the attorney, I'm like, how do we just get out of the situation? I just want these people to go away, like in the nicest way. I want to solve their problems, so they stop fighting over all the junk and they can move on with their lives. Other situations that other real estate investors weren't interested in, mobile homes. Pace was like, I'll send me the mobile homes. No one else wanted to touch those. And things out of town, things that were further away, he was willing to go on, to go out to those properties, because that helped me as an attorney. And I don't know if you saw, I posted recently in Pace's the creative page. There was the response. It was from my paralegal, actually, my probate paralegal, Lori. It was a message from it was a potential client as all. And they met with me, and I take kind of the same approach as Pace. I don't know if I'm your attorney. I don't know if I'm your right guy. What do you need help with? I recommended that they see Pace to figure out what to do with the property, because there was a property with just a little equity in it. And I said, first you got to figure out what you're going to do with that, and then decide if you want to do a probate and deal with the legal mess. So they reported back. They thanked me for introducing them to Pace. They said they're not going to work with us, but they wanted us to know that Pace is awesome, and they appreciated us connecting them. So that's to my paralegal. So my paralegal deals with all the messes as well. I think everyone knows that's how law firms work, right? The paralegals do all the hard work. They're there the day-to-day. So my other tip I would say is, if you can find their paralegals, like, hey, what do you need help with? Like, what would help you on the situations? Like, do you have any situations with not just the obvious properties, right? Don't even start with that. Everyone's approaching those. Do you get pets that need to be relocated, hoarder houses, the hard stuff? Be willing to do the hard stuff, the things that people don't want to do, and show them how they can trust you that way. And when they start getting emails from their clients, thank you for introducing me to Marlon. Marlon's a man. He helped me so much. Guess what? The paralegals are going to start remembering you. So I get things from my paralegals like, hey, this seems like a good one. We should call Pace. Like when a lead comes in with a property or whatever it is, or we have some other messes where they go, you know what, I think we should go Pace. We should call Pace. So be creative and find the problems that you can actually help with.
That's really helpful. I really appreciate that answer. So thank you so much. Like, it gives a lot of insight.
You're welcome. I appreciate you joining the stream. This has been fun, and thanks to your mom as well for being willing to share and talk about her situation.
Yeah, thank you for answering all of our questions.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be tuning in.
So awesome.
I love the suggestion you gave him about the paralegal piece, because you're right. They're the ones who do all the legwork and what have you, and they bring it to you as the attorney to, to follow
Yeah.
those. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's something I discovered recently. Just saw how Pace and some of my other friends, other real estate investors, when they solve their problems, they're their best marketing source. They'll remember you.
Yeah, true.
So
well, this was interesting. I enjoyed it.
Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to let you go, Marlon. Do you want to say any final words where people can find you?
Sure. You guys can find me on Facebook, Marlon Johnson, and you can find me on Instagram, Marlon Johnson 00.
All right. Thanks, Marlon. Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
All right. That was fun. That was fun being able to show what we do as far as some of our unique Maat Legal processes. I love the question on how they should find an attorney. If you're not able to answer those questions as far as the attorneys I'm talking to, let me show you some other things. Yeah, but the attorneys, if you're not able to offer digital asset solutions for your clients, how they should handle that information that's being stored electronically, if you don't have the tools to provide effective virtual meetings, consider becoming a Maat Legal attorney. So let me put up on the screen here to show you. And I'm going to share my screen again over here. I'm going to show you our Maat Legal website. But Maat Legal is accepting some attorneys into what we're calling the beta program. I'm calling it the beta program just because I don't have a better name for it at this point. So let me show you, let me share my screen here. Or let me show you over here. Can you hear me on the screen? I don't know if you can hear me talking still. I'm going to do this to make sure you can hear me talk. So here's our website for maatlegal.com. We're still in the process of updating it. It's come together, made some changes here. This is Christine. She's the director of operations for Maat Legal. You can click this video, watch it, get to know her. And then her email is going across the bottom, Christine@maatlegal.com. Send her an email if you want to set up a consultation to become a Maat Legal beta attorney. Again, if you want to practice this way, have effective virtual meetings, offer plans that include digital asset planning, what happens to your email, what happens to the photos and videos on your phone, reach out to us at Maat Legal. Send Kristen or Christine an email. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to end the stream here. We'll see you next Saturday to talk shop.